Hi, my name is Montserrat Romo and I'm in a team with Karen Munoz, Lorena Perez, and Natalia Galvan. And we are going to present our research, the lack of road culture as a principal cause of traffic accidents in the intersection between Eloy Cavazos and Israel Cavazos. Problem statement. The problem is there are many car accidents in Eloy Cavazos Avenue and Israel Cavazos Street intersection.
The objective of this work is to know the reason why so many car accidents happen in this intersection.
This research is being done because our community's road culture is generally known as horrible. Multiple car accidents happen in our everyday life, and we only complain about it because they cause a lot of traffic. With this research, we will be able to know what caused the car accidents and therefore know what we can do to change it.
Hypothesis. The lack of road culture is the main cause of car accidents between the intersection of Eloy Cavazos and Israel Cavazos.
Now, for the theoretical framework, we want to begin with road culture. Nuevo León has a road culture crisis the state does not do proper investigation related to this topic, while Lucas City is trying to implement campaigns to solve this problem.
The traffic regulations are a set of norms and rules that every driver must follow. They are for every vehicle and each has its own sanction. They also include how to appropriately use everything from the infrastructure to the signs to the ways that pedestrians use, etc. The problem with these rules are the general lack of compromise that drivers, pedestrians, and even traffic officers have towards it. And well, in the traffic officer's case, this is mostly because they have a really low wage. For example, there is a problem with the bribes that some drivers offer to the traffic officers when they get a tip or something like that. And this often ensues in a lot of problems with aggressive abuse of power or fines that are not good for our road culture.
Elements that make up road safety provided by the authorities. And the road safety alludes to techniques and measures that keep the street users from being injured or, in the worst cases, killed. Some elements that make up road safety are traffic signs, personal lane support, and road infrastructure.
There are 7 main causes of car accidents: bad weather, tires, use of cell phones, speeding, alcohol and drugs, not paying attention, and fatigue.
Now, to begin with the surveys, most people who did the survey were males. Exactly 53.3% of these people were males and 46.7% were females. And most of them were teenagers, mostly 17-year-olds.
According to the survey, most of the population drives to this intersection daily, so it knows its importance. The area in which most people pass through this intersection is at the morning and afternoon, at the beginning and the end of the working shift.
Most of the drivers have been witnesses to violent accidents on this intersection, and most of them think that the fault was at one of the driver's distraction. However, other causes were exceeding speed and low quality on the traffic signs. They all agreed that they could have been prevented by being more patient, respect the speed limits and the traffic signs, if they avoided distractions, and if they had been overall more conscious about their careless acts. This proves that the people do not have a good road culture and do not care about the serious consequences that their acts may have. A small portion of the people's responses gave us the answer that they had actually taken part in some traffic accidents, but most of them said that the fault was at the other driver. Most unpopular responses were that the accident was caused by exceeding speed and distraction from themselves.
On the scale of 1 to 10, in which 1 is terrible and 10 is excellent, the road infrastructure was deemed as regular, and it was ranked between 7 and an 8, and even though it's not so awful, it could be better. On the contrary, the efficiency of the traffic authorities was deemed unsatisfactory. On the same scale was ranked between a 4 and a 5, which proves the low capacity of the traffic authorities.
By analyzing the interview, we came to the conclusion that the interviewed found no relation between the car accidents or the time of day or the road culture. He thought it was mainly the weather that what caused car accidents.
Analyzing and studying the responses obtained through the surveys, we can conclude that our previous established hypothesis was correct. Indeed, the lack of road culture is a principal cause of almost all the sinisters that happen in the intersection between Eloy Cavazos and Israel Cavazos. However, another two causes of these problems was the lack of a good infrastructure and the inefficiency in traffic officers, which are problems that should not go unresolved either.
Many investigations can be done after this investigation or based on this investigation. As for examples, they can be investigations about road culture in a bigger scale, investigations about the traffic personnel payment, investigations about the infrastructure in Guadalupe, investigation about corruption by traffic personnel, investigations about the appropriate age to own a driver's license, amongst others.
There are a lot of ways in which this research can be applied in the future. For example, in technology, there's already the people working on a car that stops when other people or other cars approach it, which can help prevent a lot of accidents. When the environment, it is a known fact that a lot of the trash that goes in the junkyard are the rest of cars that got demolished during a car accident. Also, for policies and regulations, well, the traffic regulations are mostly going to be the most affected because they are not being efficient now, and the way the officers are recruited now is going to be a lot stricter. We hope to change people's minds to make them aware of the real threat that this is to them and their families, because most of these traffic accidents normally end up in lives being changed, which affect us greatly. And we can also hope that we can change the way that licenses are approved, because nowadays everyone can get a license and that should not be the case.
How the research results may impact on the future. New traffic regulations will be applied, lack of road culture awareness campaigns, improvements on the infrastructure of the intersection of Eloy Cavazos and Israel Cavazos, the requirements to hire personnel in support of the traffic will be stricter, and there will be more requirements to get a driver's license.
Carriage jobs make hundreds because with less sinisters they won't make able to much money. Corrupt traffic policemen won't be able to accept bribes, and people could get mad about the new set of stricter traffic regulations.